So it's a little whimsical, but I grew up with this stuck in my head. El flojo trabaja doble. So my parents, it means the lazy person works twice as hard. So my mom would always tell me that growing up, as a joke, but kind of seriously saying like, never take shortcuts, like make sure to stick it out and always do things the right way, and like you'll see the best results out of it. So I think that really shaped the way I was growing up, because I'd always like take a moment to really think through my actions before doing them. And just when I like meet new people and also like working new jobs and things, I make sure not to do that. So it's always in the back of my head when I'm about to mess up or take the lazy route. I'm like, flojo, trabaja doble. Yeah, so I think in my case, so I only grew up with two grandparents, one on both sides. And I think it's a bit of a unique take, but my grandma has taught all of us that age is just a number. So within our culture, within Latino culture, it's very normal to like always be like very festive, celebrate every moment, like everything's almost a party in that sense. So she's always taught us that and shown us that through her life and inspired us to keep doing that on our own. So for example, as she like started getting older, she wouldn't like let anything hold her back. So she still kept doing kept exercising or going out to party with friends, like hanging out with younger people, just showing us that life, like we only get one life, so you shouldn't let your age hold you back. And with all of my cousins and my siblings, like we try to keep up with that energy, so we carry that with all of that we do. So I think that she was that way because she kind of wanted to break through that trope of like, when you're old, like all you do is just sit in your house maybe and like people take care of you, but like that's it for you. And she kind of wanted to break through that because also in the traditional like Latino family, the grandma, when she reaches that age, she like stays in the house and like takes care of everyone and does this type of things and doesn't do like much beyond that. But she kind of wanted to break that usual path and create her own. So I think that's why she's a bit of a trendsetter in her own way. That's why she was inspired us to do that. It's important to see representation in leaders within your field because it just shows you that it is possible to get there. Just as simple as that, like seeing there is just proof that it can happen. Because a lot of times we don't see that, so it feels difficult to know if someone, of your ethnicity can actually make it in a world where we're not often given those same opportunities. So I would say that's one thing, and then the second reason why I think representation is important, especially in advertising, is because within our teams, we want to make sure that we are accurately representing the audiences we're also speaking to. So if in some cases there isn't as much representation in a team, then that audience, the nuances might not be captured by the team working on those projects. And sometimes we get, like the Hispanic audience is generalized and placed into one bucket. So without that representation, people like let that slip through and it doesn't really get called out. So that's the reason why I think it's important. So I think here especially, it's been nice to see leaders within, our space in the company. So that's been very inspirational. But I think just going back to the second part of the question, I've always thought of that even in college too, when I was like figuring out what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. I think part of the outreach and networking that I did was also with Latino professionals, and I wanted to make sure to speak to people and understand their experience before getting into the field myself, to know maybe what challenges to foresee, how to approach certain things, conversations as well. So I think it's been a bit twofold. So before entering the space, I talked to people within the Latino community, and then after now at this company at Vayner, I've also made sure to maintain those relationships. And as a result, I've also been very active in our CRG as one of the co-leads for La Bienvenida here at the company. So that's also been a great way for me to create more representation or even just show what we already have in the company to others. So I think CRGs are really special because it creates almost like a safe haven for people within any type of company. So here especially, the company itself has created a comfortable environment for everyone, of course, but within this space we can talk about, any issues that we face, things we're also seeing beyond work, like within Latino society that we just want to discuss. And I think it creates, just going back to that same idea, creates a safe space to talk about challenges, and then it also is just comforting. Like, honestly, it's straight up just comforting to talk to people with relevant experiences, even if they're from other countries. We all still have a lot of commonalities, so I think that's a really special thing about it. And we also get to celebrate a lot of special moments through CRGs and through the company with our community here, so that's also been really nice. Well, there's one creator right now in the space. Her name is Monet McMichael, and she is, do you know? She's like this incredible Afro-Latina creator, beauty influencer specifically, who's recently become and made the Forbes like top influencers list this year, amongst others like Alex Earl and some other creators. And she's truly one of the first huge Latina creators of color who has kind of been able to break through the noise and achieve that level of fame that often feels people of our ethnicity achieve, or at least, we're looking at like outside of celebrities, of course. And I think she's someone to look up to because aside from like her like quick rise to fame on TikTok especially, she always holds close her like Latino values of family and maintains those traditions and shows them through her content as well. And I think that's something special because, as we said before, representation also is just like at least seeing someone like you thrive in these spaces. It's not, it can be a lot more beyond that, but just seeing people like is inspirational. And I think she especially makes a point to connect and stay up to date with everyone in her community. So she actually has one of the highest rates of engagement in her comment section, more than any creator. So I think that's really special because these like women and even like younger girls that are feeling inspired by her often get excited when she responds and like feel like they're actually seen by her. So in that sense, it's even more uplifting to follow her. And so all in all, I think she's really amazing and she's making like great strides for people in the community. So so for me specifically, it would have to be Arepas. It has to be Arepas because if you're from Venezuela or you're from Colombia, like you know how important that dish is to us. We have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's always great to eat, like easy to make. So I would say that's the one because I feel like they're very underrated and sometimes I forget that a lot of people haven't tried them or don't know what they are. And when I ask them, I'm like, oh my god, you have to try them. And they end up loving them. So I think that's the one I would push. There's a lot of variations to them too. You can put chicken, ham, cheese. But I think that's probably something that should be shown on the market. That's a hard one. I would say maybe like top 3. I would say Reina Pepiada, number 1, which is a chicken and avocado arepa with like shredded chicken mixed in with it. So that's like one filling. Then there's the pelua, which is like Gouda cheese and shredded beef. And then the third one, arepa domino, which is shredded white cheese and caraotas. That we eat. This is our version of frijoles. So I think I have 2 answers to this. So the first one would be that we are not just a monolith. I think.
What does that mean?
So basically that the Hispanic community can't be generalized within the US. We're comprised of more than like a dozen different countries within Latin America. And a lot of times companies forget that. So we don't eat the same food. We don't speak the same dialects. So a lot of times within like these online spaces, we're addressed to in like one way. So I think that definitely has to change, especially when we're speaking regionally. When you have, like more of the Mexican community on the West Coast, and then like South American, Caribbean, down south, like it varies along wherever you are. So I think that's one thing that's definitely missing that we still haven't cracked as a community in the US. And then
It's okay.
Yeah, so I think what's missing is that there isn't enough representation of Latino people, like the common Latino people. A lot of times in the media too, it's great that we show like very successful Latinos, whether they're celebrities or creators and things like that. But I think there's this big amount of pressure that's placed on us to be those like mega successful people, and that's when we're going to be shown. Within mainstream media, there isn't as much appreciation just for like the community as a whole doing normal things. Like not all of us are going to be like singers, not all of us are going to be like these mega celebrities in these spaces. So I think that's just something that's missing, like us just being a part of the American community, doing normal things that aren't just being successful in our own way. I think within my upbringing, both because of my family in general, because of the Latino culture I grew up with, I've always felt like, or I've been taught that it's important to cultivate relationships with others, and just like the sense of community is really important. So because of that, being almost drilled into my head because of the large family reunions we have at home, or just growing up and like my mom always introducing herself to like strangers or starting up conversations with people like out in public. I just always was taught that it's important to cultivate relationships, and that in turn makes working with others better because you truly understand who they are and not just like what you're working on them with. So I think that's helped me a lot in my career, because when I join new teams or just clients who work with anyone in the space, I always make it a point to really get to know them beyond just what their role might be, because until you do that, you can't truly understand a person, and sometimes people will tend to judge others or make assumptions, but I think it's really important to get to know others, and that makes working with them and working as a team more flawless or smooth. So I think just the idea of communion is really important within the Latino community, because we really value fostering relationships within our family, or even chosen family at times. It can be like someone you call your uncle or aunt or your tia, and who's not really your tia, but she's always been there. So it's like, for us, it's important to share either with like eating food or dancing or listening to music with these family friends and family members. So because of that, getting together is important. It brings us closer as a culture, and I think it also creates a sense of continuity, because as you grow older, you find yourself really valuing like these reunions almost. So with your new friends, wherever you're living, like after you like finish school, like you feel that sense, or you feel like you need that sense of community. So it's something that's carried on. So I think, for us, it's just an important moment of celebration and celebrating the small victories, I guess. My name is Colicchio of Venezuelan descent, y yo soy Vayner.